When working in scripted film or television, it's quite common that third-party applications are used to create the deliverables used in post and rely on metadata to describe the essence files created around when turning over sound and picture to other teams. For example, editing in Premiere Pro using offline media, reconforming to high res for dealing with color, or turning over for sound. The easiest way to ensure that all clips have proper metadata is to use an ALE file when first importing your dailies. An ALE file is a human-readable text file that actually reads like a large table of information. It's basically a tab-delimited file separated into 3 sections: a header, a column, and data. The header contains file type and general information, and in fact, it's possible to open up an ALE file in something like Excel to keep some of the formatting intact so that we can see these different sections. For dailies workflows in Premiere Pro, instead of starting by importing the files, once the files have been copied to disk, typically an editor brings in those files using an import command and we link to that media. If you have access to an ALE file, though, the best practice is to actually link to that first. So what I'm going to do here in my project is under the project menu, I'm going to double click and find my ALE file for today's shoot and click import. Now when I do that, I get all of the metadata and I get containers for all the various clips. The metadata comes in with the clips offline, so there is one additional step at this point where I need to right click, say link media, and typically I just need to link a single file here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose where my media is. I've got the display only exact name matches checked at the bottom here, so I can just select that single clip, click OK, and now all of my media is linked, and the file names you'll notice actually have real world file names. I don't have to worry about what the camera recorded. I can actually see scene, shot, take information, the same that's on the slates here. I can see that within these shots. Now, this is also important to note if your dailies are coming in with separate sound time code and you need to be able to synchronize picture and sound. It is possible to, once you have this metadata information, typically from the ALE file, I can go through and actually do my synchronization using something like multicam. And you'll notice that multicam actually has a checkbox here for sound time code. So usually this information would have to be entered in manually, but now instead we have it all linked together via the ALE file. So one step added all this metadata information. To see all of the various columns of metadata that we have within these files, simply right-click on the header in the project here and choose Metadata Display. This will enable me to go in and add additional metadata columns and display metadata that might be hidden otherwise that was found inside of the ALE file. In this example, I'm going to go ahead and use the LUT column here to turn on the LUT column and just check and see if I have metadata under the LUT column. It's currently looking like I don't, and I actually was expecting to see some metadata in this LUT column here. And this is a common issue that comes across every so often when dealing with dailies workflows, where the ALE file is actually missing some of that important metadata. Premiere enables a simple way of adding this metadata in by getting an updated ALE file from the lab or the production house that's creating the dailies. So again, I'm going to select all my clips. I'm going to go to Clip, Update Metadata. So here's a newer ALE file that has this LUT information. I'll go ahead and click Import. And now you'll see that various clips, I'm now seeing the name of the LUT that was applied during the dailies creation process here. Important to have that for later on if I'm turning over for color. Now, one special use case to be aware of when working with ALE files, it is possible for an ALE file to contain CDL color values, and you'll see that several of these clips actually have CDL information being applied to them. ASC SOP and ASC SAT values are what make up a CDL file, and if I expand this column out, you'll see that the SOP column is a series of different numbers associated. It's kind of a way of painting the camera, and oftentimes these values are applied in camera by the cinematographer. Now, if I have CDL values inside of the ALE file, Premiere Pro actually applies those CDL values as a master clip effect on the clip in question. So by going to the effect controls, and let me move the effect controls panel over to this side here so that we can see the clip in the source monitor and see the master clip effect side by side here. You can see that these are actually live values. And if I click the FX button, you can see here is the clip before the CDL value was applied. Here it is after. So it's important to note, if you want to have the CDL values applied as a live effect that can be modified and adjusted further in post-production, it is possible to do that. But in a lot of cases, you may want to actually turn these off. The easiest way to do this is to simply select all of the dailies as they come in, right-click, and choose Disable Master Clip Effects, and this will batch turn off this ASC CDL effect that's being applied to your footage. Now, it is also possible to create ALE files if you are actually using Premiere Pro as a tool for generating these dailies with Media Encoder. Premiere Pro has the ability to add this type of metadata information in the project file and then export out an ALE file. We provide a workspace called the Meta Logging Workspace, which is actually designed to give you access to a lot of different metadata information. And in fact, it makes Premiere not really look like an editing program at all, because it's all about creating metadata, adding that metadata to various files. And then from there, you can choose export and export out an Avid Log Exchange or ALE file directly from Premiere.